Hey podcast listeners, my name is Allison.
And I'm Chelsea. Welcome to our weekly episode of the Graduate Podcast.
A podcast that inspires young adults to embrace and flourish through the many facets of life.
We look forward to sharing our craziest stories since moving to opposite ends of the country. We got some juicy relationship details here, some professional tips there, and so much more lined up for you.
Right. We want to remind you in the beauty of your transformation as you graduate through life.
With that being said, let's jump right into it.
The Graduate Podcast starts now. So, I have always told myself that I was going to be a little corporate shorty. I always told myself that I did not want to own my own business because the amount of effort it took to get to that point. But now that I'm in my 20s, I feel like that's the only way to do it. Do you feel the same?
Yeah, I think so too. And for me, I didn't really think about that stuff either because it wasn't really presented to me in a way that I could do those things.
Yeah, it's so crazy because as an aspiring dentist, I never, ever, ever saw myself starting a YouTube channel. I never saw myself starting a podcast. And ultimately, these are forms of businesses. And even when I just look at our business plan, you and I have goals that really definitely touch into the business aspect more than I could have ever imagined, which is so crazy.
Yeah, and that just reminds me of this quote that I'd like to share with all of our listeners, and it goes like this. A desire for control or the fear of judgment can keep us from accepting, quote unquote, not knowing. But it is critical to embrace the unknown, to be a state of openness for knowledge and answers to come. When you admit that you don't know, you ask questions. You're receptive to other people's wisdom. You can fully embrace curiosity. You can seek out information. Saying I don't know is almost like an act of acceptance, and the unknown is a beautiful state of being because it sets a foundation of growth.
Drops the mic.
And just so we can sit on that a little bit, I really was drawn to this quote because with all of the little projects and all of the little things that we're doing, it takes a big step to be the consumer and then sort of be on the flip side and being the creator or being the planner and really owning those things and really kind of putting your name behind all of the little projects that you do. And it's scary. It's really scary, but having this state of unknown and sort of embracing that curiosity and sort of embracing that, in a way, vulnerability to new things and trying new things, it sets this foundation of growth. And I think it's really awesome because it's been nothing but a good ride so far.
Right. Oh my gosh. It's so crazy because the other day I was looking back at my middle school yearbook from 8th grade and I won the standout for most ambitious.
Oh.
Which is crazy because literally what was 8th grade Allison doing that set her apart as most ambitious? Like, I can't even remember what she might have been doing. But it's so crazy to watch it all come full circle because you and I have always been very creative. But then at the same time, I never saw us as business owners.
Yeah.
And granted, I think that comes from, like, us being in a generation of, like, serial entrepreneurs. We were seeing people build businesses, like, out of nowhere. And that wasn't a thing as much back then. But now that I've embraced, like, this side of myself, like, I don't want to go back.
Yeah. To add to, like, this whole generation of serial entrepreneurs, I feel like this platform, among many others, like, we're trying to lift others up so that they can hop on too, because I feel like this is such a fun adventure, and I know that for a lot of people, the goal is to make an established income from it, but all of this like hard work and the hustle and like this growth stage and like this foundational stage is probably one of the most enjoyable, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. That's so crazy. Like, I'm very proud of us. And sometimes like you just got to take a second and congratulate yourself, be proud of yourself, because we've came a long way.
Yeah, we're certainly not where we want to be, but you got to appreciate yourself.
So I'm just out of curiosity, when you were younger, what was the path that your parents said that you should follow?
Oh, I all right, y'all. You know me. I Filipino, Hispanic background, raised by my Filipino family. So of course, they wanted me in the healthcare system. They wanted me a doctor. They wanted me a nurse. I didn't really get many other options besides those two. Maybe lawyer. You know, just the big. You're going to like a specialty school. They wanted me to just make money, and like most cultures, like I wasn't really raised by like my mom and dad, because my mom and dad were always out working trying to provide for the family. And so I was mostly raised by like my grandparents, who have very older and very traditional values. So it's kind of like they really wanted to box me into this: you're going to go to school for 12, 18 years, and then you're going to be a doctor, and then you're going to give back to the family and take care of them. And that was it. And those all of those things, like now that I'm saying it, I don't mean to sound selfish. Like it sounds like a thorough plan, right? But it certainly wasn't for me. And I don't think I could have done that to myself.
Right. Yeah. I think on the other side for me, I didn't really have that push. As supportive as my dad is, he didn't. Mm-hmm. So for anybody who's listening and does not know, when I was 10 years old, my mother passed away from breast cancer. But before she passed away, she was a nurse. And I don't know much else other than that. I know that she was a nurse. I know that she did teach at a trade school. She taught nursing courses to other prospective nurses, but I really don't know much else from that. And then my dad, he was in the Navy for 20 years. So my dad does not have a college background. And when I was going through high school, I never really knew what I wanted to do, but whatever I said I wanted to do, my dad automatically supported me. And I'm very, very thankful for that. But then at the same time, I did have a lot of resentment, because here's my best friend and her family's like, oh, here's your path. Here's what here's what you quote unquote should do. And I really did not like the fact that my dad was so chill about it. And maybe it's because he knew I always had it in me to find what I wanted to do and chase after my own path on my own. But like, it was very hard for me because he never told me what I should do, or, he never even laid out options for me. I kind of just, going through high school, found things that I liked, like ceramics. I loved ceramics. I loved working with my hands. I loved art. I loved my screen printing class because I liked being able to watch my work take physical form. I liked being able to especially work with like Photoshop and Adobe Illustrator and really be able to envision something and create it. And so I think that really manifested itself into dentistry, where I want to go now, because again, I'm working with my hands. I'm envisioning something and making it life, but no one told me that that's what Allison should do. And so it's so crazy, like literally watching this all happen, and then just even watching the ways that I'm able to express that creativity now. Like, who is Allison? Who is this girl?
Yeah, but that's why everybody, I feel like, knew from the get-go. Like, you being so young and so creative and just like so willing to just like try new things. Right. And then every time you tried something new, you executed anyway, because that's just how adaptable you are and how quick you are to learn things.
You as well.
Yeah, you didn't even need a plan, see? But with my family, it's kind of like, it was like a lot of friction, because they had these expectations and set ways that they wanted me to go. And so when I resisted that, it was disrespectful. I was the bad guy. I didn't know how to listen. They don't know what to do with me now because now I'm not on their plan.
Right.
So it's kind of hard in that regard too, like just not feeling the support, even though you still want to be great in other ways. I don't know.
Right. So what are you doing now, and how do they feel about it?
You know, honestly, I don't think that they fully understand what I do, even to this day. And I don't think that they ever will unless I become a doctor or a nurse.
Wow.
Yeah, because I think that it's just that willingness to learn aspect. And I think, just very honestly, I feel like my family has just matured and they just are satisfied with the way that they're thinking. And yeah. So even though I do tell them, so I am a public health coordinator and I do a lot of prevention work across the state, and I could tell them all of the different policies I work on, and I could tell them what I do at the legislature and, the impact that I make on the communities. But they're going to be like, yeah, and
Right.
so you're not in a hospital? Okay, gotcha.
Right. Damn.
Yeah, so it's kind of hard, but like I feel like in that regard, it fueled my fire because I wanted to show them that there are other possibilities and other things that you could do, and you could still be happy and you can still make money and have this sustainable life that satisfies you. And I think I, in a way, wanted to do that for my sisters too, or like all the other younger people, because yeah, it just kind of sucked. Like not getting that support from your family, foundationally.
Damn. But you also do have a business selling honey. Talk about that a little bit.
Oh yeah, so that was okay. So that birthed out of quarantine. I feel like that's my quarantine creation, and so I started Hot Girl Honey because it was something that came about my friends, and it's just the spicy honey that you can put on pizza, hot chicken wings. Honestly, I put it in like my stir fry and among any other sauces that's sweet and spicy. But having learned how to create like the small business, like kind of like a bootstrap small business because it's all self-funded and everything, it's exciting, and you kind of go through the motions of what it's like to set your own agenda, setting out your planning and the content creating, down to the manufacturing and getting the honey, all the way to the end, shipping and packaging. Like knowing how to go through all of those steps, and me doing it basically by myself at first, it's going to make me understand the roles and who I want to bring onto my team when I can eventually create jobs for other people and have other younger interns and, have them start those processes and have them think about everything and planning.
Wow. I love hearing that. I mean, I've heard the story many times, but it always just gives me like a sense of pride because in a way you're literally setting yourself up for your future. Like you might want to continue working in the public health sector, but you also might want to one day just be 100% self-employed. And not only does this podcast pave the way for like that to be an option, but you also have another venture, and like the possibilities are endless. And so I think that's really, really dope.
Oh, thanks.
Right. So I mean, yeah, you did talk about your quarantine hustle. So aside from showing you time management and showing you how to really get it out the mud and have your hands all the way through something that you see yourself doing, what other skills have you learned from working on your Hot Girl Honey?
Ooh. Most of it is learning about my own work ethics and me being my own boss, which is really hard. And so I found that I really enjoy deadlines. And I thought that I hated deadlines as a student. Right? I don't want to do that shit. But as a boss, you have to, it's an imperative to set deadlines for yourself. And even if okay, like if you're the type of person who has 10 alarms because you can't get the fuck up in the morning, maybe you got to set like a earlier deadline, okay? And then give yourself the last straw deadline, because that's going to be so imperative in making sure that your business stays afloat. Because if you're a procrastinator as a student, you are going to be a procrastinator in the workforce until you cut that shit out. So that is something that I personally have to work on.
Wow. I like that. That was, I'm just going to repeat basically what she said in case y'all did not catch it. Chelsea just basically let y'all know that bosses make deadlines. Bosses set deadlines and work to that deadline. If you cannot set a deadline, then you cannot perform, period. Basically, that's real, because even when I look at us doing our podcast, especially working on a co-host type of platform, we're essentially in business together. And especially for us, working on a podcast and having an Instagram and a Twitter and a Facebook, if we don't have deadlines, literally nothing is going to get done, because everything is going to be up in the air and everything is just going to be like, oh, well, when do you want to do it? Or, who wants to do it? Literally being a boss and setting your foundation comes with setting deadlines, setting expectations, setting or allocating tasks, saying who is going to do what. And being a leader also entails saying that or claiming a task. Being a boss literally entails saying, I will take responsibility, and if this does not happen, then that is my sole responsibility. I'm going to be the reason for the downfall, or I'm going to be the reason why we weren't able to execute this vision that we had planned for ourselves. So I love that. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, and I just wanted to circle back on the idea of people taking responsibility. I think that is one of the biggest hurdles as to why people don't start a business to begin with. Or they don't start their own projects to begin with, because they're really afraid of owning that responsibility and really owning their brand. And so that's a lot of growth and foundational work that you got to do within yourself if you're not even at that point where you can confidently take responsibility with all of the things that you do.
Yeah, 100%. Because what people don't realize is that when you go into business, whether it is YouTubing, podcasting, selling your own honey, whatever the podcast or whatever platform that you decide to occupy, you have to learn tasks, and it's not going to be easy for anybody. Literally, small business owners encounter issues every single day, and they're learning something every single day. And so if you don't take initiative and responsibility to really jump out on that limb and try something new, try out your business, give it a shot, then it's never ever going to happen, because the world is always evolving. Like, we're always learning something new. We're always finding ways to put our podcast on a new platform, or finding ways to better market ourselves. Like, we're currently going through a phase, like, as sweet as it looks on this side, like, Chelsea and I are still trying to figure out ways that we can grow our platform and reach a greater audience. So that's something that you all need to consider. Like, if you are looking for a sign to start your business, this is it. Literally do it. You can do it. If we can do it, then you can do it. And I say that because Chelsea and I are very, very busy individuals.
Yeah.
We're working on so many things. Chelsea's working full time. I'm getting ready to start school. I also have a YouTube, and Chelsea's also selling honey, and we're working on a podcast, and we both have relationships and families. She lives with her boyfriend, and I live with my dog. Like, as minuscule as those sound, those are responsibilities. And, if we didn't do it now, then when would we ever do it? So, again, if you're looking for a sign, this is it.
Yes. Start now. Get the mistakes out the way. Grow, grow, grow. That's it. It almost sounds surreal to say that you and I created a podcast, doesn't it?
Yes, but honestly, without the help of Buzzsprout, this dream could have never become a reality.
Absolutely. Buzzsprout is a software that allows hosts, just like us, a platform to home their podcast, and they take care of the hard work of publishing our episodes on our favorite platforms, like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Google Podcasts.
It's as simple as finding a quiet place with your phone and hitting record. Buzzsprout takes it away from there and even offers help finding all the right equipment when you are ready to upgrade your show.
Aside from distributing our podcast, they also provide us with all of our analytics and make it super easy to track our growth as a show. Podcasting isn't hard when you have the right partners.
And just for our listeners, Buzzsprout is offering you a $20 Amazon gift card when you sign up to host your show on Buzzsprout just after the second payment cycle. All you need to do is hit the affiliate link in our show notes, sign up, and let Buzzsprout take it from there.
Join the 100,000 podcasters already using Buzzsprout to get their message out to the world.
So before we wrap up this episode, I really want to leave you all with a couple of questions to ask yourself, especially during these times where we are just sitting at home, or maybe if your state is opening up. Here's a couple things for you to consider. So are you making it your business to follow through with all of the things that you always said that you want to do? Do you have conversations with your younger self and see where you came from and where you want to go? And are you okay with what you're doing with your time? We hope that this podcast has helped provide a little bit of clarity on what you want to do with your journey and provide a little bit of perspective on how we have been able to turn our dreams into a reality.
And with that, thank you guys for listening. If you like this episode, please continue to show your support. Go ahead and follow us on Instagram at The Graduate Podcast. We are also on Twitter at TGP Starts Now, and we also have a Facebook page. If you look up The Graduate Podcast, you can join our Facebook group. So thank you. We wish you well on all of your endeavors, and we wish you success. If you have any questions, please reach out, and we'll be here.
All right, we'll talk to you on our next episode.
Bye.